given a trial of providing a online lab for you actually. So just we created a scenario of cloud labs so that we can provide a lab facility also for you online, so that you can virtually access the labs and you can practice the exercises given to you. So we are planning for lab sessions for you. That is the reason yesterday we just undergone the trial of labs. That you don't need to worry about those IDs working or not. They were just delivered to you only for that particular day, right? So we are performing some testing on that. That's the reason we just wanted to trial with you. That's I given to you. So you don't need to worry about that. So whenever it is ready and working, means whenever it is ready for your batch, I will provide that login credentials to all your registered emails, huh? Right? So no need to worry about that, right? Yeah. So because many people are very much concerned that they haven't got IDs or not, that is just a trial. You no need to worry. We have rolled back all those IDs also, right? We will plan a lab oriented session with mentor. So generally what happening is I given you an exercise, and in that exercise I asked you to practice. Some issues will come while you are practicing. So we will allocate a lab timing. On that particular timing, you can attend the session. On that particular timing, you can attend the session of lab session, and you can practice that exercise. Our mentor will be there. He will guide you if you face any issue at the same time, right? So he will be monitoring your work. For that, we are creating cloud labs and working with on. So that you can practice better with some guidance whenever task is given to you. Huh? For that, we are planning. I will let you know in few days. So yesterday, just we done some trialing on that, right? So just trials on that particular scenario we done. No need to worry about that. Yeah. So today we will continue what we discussed in the last session actually. So in the last session, we learned about all right. In the last session, we discussed about the positions. How do we deal with the CSS positions and use the positions? Yeah. So we learned about the positions in the last session. And I given you some options on the positions, right? Right. So display and display grid, these are the options we learned. Yeah. And positions, one CSS positions, box models and CSS positions we discussed. Now today in the positions, CSS positions, we learned about how we can define the position, static positions, sticky position, fixed position, relative. These points we learned. After understanding several examples, we will practice now. I will show you one simple example of position, working with the positions. So suppose let's create a simple example of an accordion type, right? An example of accordion. Accordion. This accordion is very popular in CSS styling. Generally, accordion very regularly seen in CSS. Actually, if you are using Bootstrap and all, we can easily create these with ready-made text, jQuery UI, Bootstrap and all. Without that, with general knowledge of CSS and styles, how to create such examples and exercises, we will see one example, we will see, right? So in the last session, the position I given to you is this. So that is the positions we designed: relative position, absolute position, static position. Yeah, these are the options we learned. Next, after understanding, so in this, one more one example I will give you. How we can use an accordion. So let's go into the CSS. Yeah, right. In the CSS examples, I will add a new file, some accordion.html. Accordion is a style actually, right? So how this is done? Actually, you can achieve that by using accordion can be achieved by using sticky content. By using sticky content, you can achieve the concept of accordion. So how it works? Let's see one simple example how we can manage that, right? So usually the accordion, so let's create doc type HTML head and title and accordion, okay, and in the body, so we are keeping some contents here, so we are defining some contents. So here let's create some contents, right? So one is to handle this kind of things, we will go with the general data terms and definitions, right? Let's create one option here. So heading, suppose I am creating like web technologies. Yes, okay. And here under that we have a data list. So we are configuring the terms and definitions. So let's create some terms. So data term, and this is some JavaScript. So data term, yeah, this is some HTML. Under that, we have some paragraph data definition. Directly, we will use some data definition and some contents we are using. So for example, so in HTML, we have like normal elements. So like void elements like RC data elements, like raw text elements, like foreign elements, yeah. These are all under HTML. We have some options, and another data term we have JavaScript. So here under this, so variables, so data definition, operators, data types, yeah, and operators. We have like statements. So functions. So we have like generators. So we have several options like this, and we have some options like data term, like CSS styles. So here, yeah, under that we have selectors. So data definition, box layout. So we have grid. So we have position and alignment. So and background, something options are there. So some content, so a lot of contents are present here. Usually when we are displaying this, all the contents can be displayed in this way. We have all the contents displayed in this way. All right. These are all the contents we are having, which you can scroll, right? Now, technically, so I want an accordion style for the data terms actually. Then wherever data term is there, I will keep a style. So wherever data term is there, let's put some background color as some black. Okay, color some white. Okay, and some padding as some 10 pixels, and the position we will keep as sticky. This is position sticky for the data term here. So only data terms position is sticky. So sticky at top 0, and left we will keep it 0. And the margin, so with regard to, so 1 em, that is the left margin, and 0 top margin. So the margins we are config margin our wish, we can keep in any style the margin, but data term position is sticky. And under data term you can see some definitions are present. Usually what happens now is it is HTML. Now I am scrolling up, so HTML will stop there. The definitions will scroll, and then JavaScript comes there, and JavaScript will take care. And the rest of contents will scroll there, and CSS will be taking care, because we don't have other contents here. So that means if CSS is having some more contents, just I will copy here some more options defined there. So I copy here some more options are defined there, means some more lengthy options are configured there. So here some more options are configured here. So this type of appearance we generally call as accordion. That means I'm scrolling here, so it goes and stop. Now data term is sticky. Now the next term, until the next term it will scroll, the next term will go to the top and it will be sticky. And you are reading the rest of the content, it will be sticky. CSS will be sticky. And I scroll down again, the content will be opening up. So the content will be opening up. So whatever you learned, everything same. Only the point is how you utilize, where you keep them. So in every situation, we cannot explain you. You have to think and you need to implement as per the requirement given to you, right? Generally, anyone will teach you like, okay, navigation bar can be sticky, footer can be sticky, header can be sticky. So technically in real world development process, usually they ask like, so I want as accordion style. Generally, many times people are confused like, so accordion style, is there any special style like that, right? So usually it is a general reference for developers that I want an accordion style, means these styles you will find so many locations. Suppose we have jQuery UI. This is jQuery UI. And in the jQuery UI, this is ready-made UI for jQuery. You see there is an accordion. And you see accordion. So it looks like this. This is an jQuery accordion. And you can see in this accordion, usually what happens is not scrolling. Currently in CSS, we done scrolling. In this accordion, user can click on the topic. That topic will scroll up. That topic will scroll up. So this kind of appearances we can give with combination of our JavaScript and jQuery. Currently, events we cannot manage. Events we cannot manage. This is an accordion style. So on click, I want. So currently we are doing it on scroll. On scroll. Here it is working on scroll. But they ask like I want on click. On click. You need scroll several times. You need click several times. Depend on requirement, which you can manage with the different types of effects. We can actually manage that. We can manage. So technically, how we can handle, so how we can configure and work. So we will see that. So that's what actually different types of combinations you need to understand. So that means you need to first know that this is how it actually works. If you know this is how it actually works, then you can design easily, you can configure it. So first point is you should know its purpose, how it works, and you need to correctly fit that into that particular requirement, right? Now generally sometimes this will be horizontal, sometimes you can see vertical based also, such all. And generally vertical means they depend on clicking. When you click vertically, they open up the spans and display the content. Such things we can manage. So by using other options, JavaScript, jQuery allows you to do that actually, right? This is a simple concept how we can manage, right? So this is one example. Just it is an example for you for an accordion style. Just I will copy this entire and give it here as an example. So this is simple example. Yeah, this is an example of accordion style. So with positions, how we can manage. So in the display, how we can use sticky, how we can use relative, how you can use uh, absolute positions. I given some examples, right? Next, after understanding the examples of positioning, how we can work with position, we will use these regularly now in different examples. You will understand, you will get more clarity on them because you will practice on exercises also. The next option we need to know about how you manage a multi-column layout. So multiple column layouts. Actually, because we learned already display grid, we learned already position. Now we should able to create multi-column layouts. We should able to create responsive designs. So then the task I given to you, it looks little easy for you now. I given you a task that looks little easy once you go through all these. Let's see how we can use this multi-column positions, how we can deal with multi-column positions, layouts. So generally how to deal with them, right? Let's see. So this is a multi-column layout. Let's create one simple example for that. Already in the previous, we designed columns. But actually for designing of columns, so what we have done is we created display grid, and through display grid we are creating, right? Now when you want to span any content into columns, every time you don't need to display grid. You don't need to display grid. Display grid will be better suitable if you are spanning inside some containers, inside some contents. So suppose there is a multi-level hierarchy, then display grids will do more better. If you want large data to display in columns, then what you can try is, what you can use is, we can use multi-columns. We can use multi-columns. How the multi-column works, let's see. So for that, actually, to work with multi-columns, CSS provides the properties. One is column count. It provides the property column count, and it provides the property column width. Column count and column width. And columns have several more options. We can also use a column gap. We can use a column gap. So we can also use a column rule. We can use a column rule. So columns can be defined with several options. So we can use all these in a column. So that's how we can define in a column, right? So column related options. So mostly, if you can understand, then you can arrange the content easily, right? So now let's see how we can use these options first, how to deal with these options first. So, and we can design some examples based on that, right? Let's see how we can create a multi-column option. Suppose we are configuring some content. So let's add a new file, multiple columns .html. Okay, and let's keep some content here. So HTML, okay, head and title. So multiple columns. Okay, just like you saw, we designed a newspaper like content in the previous session. We discussed one simple example for that. Content organizing. So I will keep a div. So let's keep a class as container. Okay. So here we have some paragraphs of information. So a lot of paragraphs of information. Actually, previously, we were applying for specific element, for div keep side by side, or for div keep in a grid style, right? So for span, keep flex mode, like that we are using. These columns are for dividing every content present inside that area. Actually, that is for that. Means, for example, suppose we have some paragraphs of information. So we are having some paragraphs information here. So let's add some paragraphs. Okay. Okay, this is a paragraph. Fine. And another paragraph. Okay, let's keep such paragraphs of information here. Okay, some paragraphs information is here. So some 2-3 paragraphs of information we kept there. So let's copy this and keep it here. Okay, now all the content is going to display in this way. Right. So now I am going to the styles. Actually, in the style previously you saw that you need to arrange your paragraphs. So you need to keep containers inside this. That container comes in one block, another container in another block. So generally we use a grid to arrange multiple containers. Actually, grid is used for arranging multiple containers, grid columns and grid styles we use. Here entire content must be in multiple columns, automatically spanned. Then we can just put here that dot container. So that means this is the container. We are defining the container. So we can just put here as column count, and column count. How many columns? I want 3 columns. Just in how many columns you want to span this content. Remember, don't think that it will consider first paragraph, first column, second paragraph, second column. No, it will arrange the column, contents inside the column according to the column width and height. Default, it takes the default width and height. So it will take the default width and height. We can adjust that. Suppose see here. Suppose I am defining here, I will save this and refresh. You say column count is 3, and you can observe that. So it will arrange everything in 3 columns. It is simple. Now many people have a doubt like, so what is difference between grid and column? Clearly the difference between grid and column is grid tells so which element at which position of the column it should be, in which row it should be. That means grid tells the content to be placed at specific position, specific column. That means we will say that first paragraph will be in left column, second paragraph will be in third column, first heading will be in top row, second heading will be in the middle row. We arrange the content, but that is explicitly arranging the content. This is implicitly arranging the content. It will implicitly arrange the content. So it will implicitly arrange the content. That means now it will take your entire content and make sure that it will span into 3 columns. It will continue your information. That means it will start with the first column. So, and after that, it will span to the second column. It will span to the third column, depending on your width and height. Suppose here you can see now I can configure column. So column, so I can configure column width. When I'm defining the column width, so here we are just defining the column width as suppose how much width we want for every column, some 300 pixel. That means every column width will be 300 pixel. Suppose every column is 200 pixel, then column width will be adjusted here. So we want the columns width to be adjusted here. Suppose how much column width you want, 100. Important, the effect of these columns will happen. So when you are adjusting the width, they will happen along with the gap that you define for the columns. Currently width will not have any difference until or unless you define the gap also between the columns, because it is merging up to the end. That means we can use a column gap. So we can define a column gap. How many pixels column gap? Suppose 100 pixels column gap. So that means every column gap will be 100 pixel. Then it will arrange in this way. So the gap between the columns you can adjust. Now the content will continue to span your information. That means here at the top, suppose I kept a header, and here suppose some Hindustan times like this, something. Or I think we have already a logo. IMG SRC is so we have images in this news logo.png. And that will get that here. We are keeping the content there. We are keeping the content here. So now we are arranging that information. The gap is defined. We can use the rules. That means you can define a column. Column can have a rule. Rule is like border. How many pixels? Suppose 5 pixels. Okay, what style you want? Suppose I want solid. just like border, what color you want, some dark cyan like this, and that will be applied there. Columns will be arranged for you. So I want like some dashed, so it will get you that dashed columns there. Now what is difference between grid and column? In grid you have to tell in which column that content should, that means paragraph, in which column, in which row. But this is used to organize your entire content into columns, organizing entire content into columns. Actually, this will even allow us, see if there is more content here, that means more paragraphs of information is here. We have more paragraphs of information here. Then you can see it continues. So that means it fills up all the content, fills up all the content in the paragraphs. So this is better to use across various contents. Yes, in grid you can arrange your content at your location. You want this one in the second paragraph. So because you have aside articles and all, right? We can keep at desired positions. So here it will even allow, technically it will even allow the positioning also. It will even allow the positioning also. It will allow the positioning also. That means how you want to position the contents. It will allow also. That means that means here the positioning is not allowed. Only the content is, everything is spanned in columns. It allows spanning, merging and all, so we can manage. So that actually we have to use another option for that, that is column span. Column span. It allows to span the contents. Span the contents. So that means you can define this column span option here. Generally, how we can manage the column span, that means how we can add that effect here. So usually when you are displaying the content, so we are displaying the content and all the content is in that, and somewhere some subheadings or some sub contents will come, right? Some headings will come, some sub contents will come. Suppose I have some heading somewhere here, somewhere here. So heading as sports, or say some latest updates. So like heading we are having. So that is the latest updates here it is having. Means according to its position. Now, if I want this to be merged for all of them, because sometimes what we do is, actually this is entire article. This is entire article. In that entire article, again some sub articles, means subheadings we need to configure and define. You can keep headings, you can keep them even merged also. These headings you can keep. So wherever you want, you can keep those headings. Sometimes we want merging of those headings, Then in that case, generally how we manage that, right? How we can span those headings is, whenever you define heading, so suppose you have heading 2, we can just write here heading 2. Okay, for heading 2, what you want? I want it to have a column span. I want it to have a column span, right? Column span. I want it to column span as all columns, right? So it will not support like 2 columns, 3 columns. Suppose I said, suppose 2 columns actually, means the merging of 2 columns. So it is not affecting that, because you have only the options all. You can merge all, then it will merge all. You can keep some effect for that. You can keep the alignment, you can keep the paddings, right? Suppose you have text align to centered like this. You can keep the content. So you can keep some background colors. So background color, some dark cyan, so some color, some white, right? It will keep that appearance for it. It will keep that appearance for this. You can keep any image there, any content there. So you can define some style, some border, some height, some padding. I said some 5 pixel padding, and it will get that and show. So, but the point is, it will not allow like span for 2 columns, span for 3 columns, like that. So these type of options are used inside a container. In an article, you are publishing something with some columns merged with some headings. Individual column headings means you don't need to use span, because if I don't use span, it will stay in that location. Suppose I want some heading. So I want some heading somewhere I want some heading. You can keep them. That is not an issue, right? You can add any heading here. Suppose I said I added a heading here, heading 3. Suppose sports news. You can keep everything in a separate columns. You can see, you can keep anything in a column. It depends on where that content goes in, right? Where the content goes. You can keep it separately. You can configure and keep it, right? If you want, it means if you want for all the columns, you can keep. You want only for the specific, you can define. That you can actually merge. That is the reason we don't use this every time, only when we generally require, like, so like we want only for a specific area to be arranged in the columns with some large content paragraph. So scrolling, so spanning into multiple, then you can go with this kind of approach, right? So generally what happens is, these type of columns, what happens is, when these will fit your content, fit your content, that makes little responsive. But how to make more responsive, we will see that. Because actually what happens now is, when it reaching so certain size, you have to span left and right and scroll the content. Actually it has to fit into that particular window. Usually what we can do is, generally, so for a body section, body section, we can define, for the body section we can define width. Suppose I said 90% of the original margin, and max width, so it can be up to some 900 pixels only. So then margin should be 90 pixels, then 2 EM I will give 90% in the 2%, and auto, like this. And font, I am giving font family as Arial something. And you can see that that's what actually the appearance it gets. So this is the original size actually for that. And here your content will keep in contact with the same size. Here it will keep in contact with the same size, right? So, and when we reach the maximum size, then it should fit the window. That's what we will do in the next levels. That's what actually we need, responsive design. But this type of appearance is very regularly seen. This type of options are very regularly seen. Actually, what you can do is, this entire setup you can keep in, again, a grid. This container in one grid, another container in another grid. Every container can contain columns, right? You can arrange a complex design. You can arrange a complex design for the contents. So that is what actually the main intention of this is. So this is generally regularly seen in these kind of environments. You can see that. Actually, you can use columns not only for these, means not only for paragraphs. You can use for general contents also. Like I showed you in websites, some contents they give and arrange the information in a card styles. You can get it and display in a card style appearance. Means it's not mandatory that it should be only paragraphs like information. Paragraphs like information. So it depends on how you are configuring, right? So it can be like the websites like I showed you, Amazon. You can see in this Amazon, you can see these are the card styles, boxes. You can see these are the boxes. And if I want to design these type of boxes and arrange them, you can keep side by side. You can keep at desired position by using a grid option also. These card styles, and you can see that in the cards, in that something is spanning into multiple. This is spanning in. However, these are carousels. Those carousels you are going to learn in the next level. We will learn how to design this, right? But such spanning of contents requires information to be arranged. See, if I want to put anything like these cards and any content inside these cards, usually what we can do is generally we can design a card. We can design a card and we can keep the content inside the card, and we can manage the display of the card side by side, one below another according to our requirement. That means in how many columns you want to fit them. This also we can manage. That means not only just for this type of paragraphs, we can use for a card type of appearance also. For example, in our previous, suppose we say display grid, right? When we say display grid, we used the layouts in this way. Here advantage is we can keep the content at our desired position. Logo left side in the first row, footer at the bottom right, third row. We can arrange that information in that way. So this is automatically arranging all the contents one after another. For example, suppose for that we need a little bit of card style to arrange, right? So for suppose I am just giving here a simple example for this also. Suppose I said multi-column cards, multi-column card.html. Okay. So multi-column cards.html. This example I will give you for your understanding sake. This is an example. In this we used all those options, right? In that we used all those options. So it can be any kind of appearance. That means what we can do here, suppose see, let's go and design this multi-column card. And here I am keeping doc type HTML head and head and title as multi-column card. Okay, just in the body section we are designing the cards. Now suppose we have a div that is the location class as some card deck. Okay, and in this we are using a div. This is a div, and we are keeping some content. This is defined as a class as card. Later you will see this type of ready-made designs available with our Bootstrap. Currently we are designing everything by ourselves. We are designing according to our requirement, right? Now in this card, suppose we have a card header. So first I will keep a heading. Suppose some speakers. Okay, under that we have a div, and in that we have an image, src. So in images we have speaker.jpg. So width is some 200 and the height is also 200, something like this. And some content. So some heading, here we define another div or something. So, and here we have a button, so add to cart, something like this. There can be several more details, price and all other options. There can be several more details. I'm just giving a basic design here. Okay, so let's link here. So link relation is equal to style sheet, and link href is equal to, in the fonts we have CSS and all .css, and here we will keep a span and we will put a class as FA and FA shopping cart. Okay, fine. So this is one card with one option. So like this, we have several cards. That means I will keep the cards. This is another card. So this is suppose some say shoes, footwear. And here I defined as shoe.jpg. Okay, and another card. So this is actually some fashion. Okay, and here we say some shirt.jpg. Fine. Now usually what we are giving here is generally the effects we are defining for the content. I keep a style there. In the style, I am defining the effect for the card. So card will have some background color. So some background color. So color, some say white, right? So background color, because already it's a card style. Okay, because pictures are not suitable for us, but it's okay. And I will just give a border as 2 pixels solid and dark cyan. Okay. Okay, and here I will keep this as some light cyan. Okay. Then padding for every card we will give as 20 pixel padding, and so margin we will keep that as 0. Margin is not required initially. Fine. Now you see here in the design how it displays a card actually. So it is going to display these contents in a cards. These are the cards actually. These are the cards. Now we don't have any width defined for these cards. That's the reason they will fit into that. So color, we will just keep this as black only. Okay, that will keep everything fine. Now important is the distance between this that we can adjust now. Actually, these are all cards are present in a card deck actually. This card deck is defining column. So column, and here we are defining column width. So column width. So column width, or we have to define the columns, multiple columns we want to arrange. Usually in the previous approach, when we have to set the multiple columns, then what we done is just define the column count. That means we will put a column count. So here I am giving 3 column count first, and you can see that these 3 are arranged side by side. The contents are arranged side by side. Now you may ask, like, what will happen if there are many cards? I am trying to display many cards, and you can see the space between them, right? It will fit them. So until or unless you give as column gap as 100 pixels, something like this, and you can see that they will fit them. Now what will happen if I given, suppose what will happen if I given the number of cards? Suppose I am adding number of cards. I will copy that. I will paste another card, and here I will say some t-shirt, or say jeans.jpg, and here I will keep another card just below this, another card. So this is some earpods, and here I kept this as earpods, and you say 3 columns for all of them, and you can see the content will fit like this. The content will fit like this. I think now you observed the problem in this style. Observe the problem in this style. I hope everyone understood. That means why you need a grid and why you need a column, right? Usually what happens here, it is a running content actually. It is a running content. Running content means one after another it is continuing. You can see your content earpods, it breaks it there and takes us to the next column. It breaks that card and takes us to the next column. Next column. So it is a running content, continuous content, which will span to the next column, next column, next column according to availability. It is not organizing our content as we exactly require it actually require it. Up to certain extent it will be fine. Up to certain extent it will be fine, because if I don't give like columns count, I don't give the columns count, then you can see all these are arranged one below another. Suppose I am defining, so the columns, so suppose columns, column count as 5, I given column count as 5. Then you can see all the 5 are arranged side by side. So if you are, and of course the width of these images are not set. So because I said 200, suppose I said it is 100% width, 100% width, it will fit into that. So that means that 100% width, we can keep that for every image. So for every image, we can keep that 100% width. So it will keep that fit into the content. So it will keep the fit into the content that I can manage here. So I can manage here. And you can see that will be there. This is okay for when you are displaying the content. Suppose you want so similar type of content, that means you have 5 and you have again another set of 5. So that means I will copy here. So these are the 5 cards we have. These are the 5 cards here. So here I will put here a HTML comment, the next 5. And here I will copy that. The next 5 I have copied them. And you can see that all these are arranged like this. Now it's okay. Now it is okay. Why? Because you exactly know and you can exactly restrict them. You exactly know and you can exactly restrict them, right? So in that case, that's fine. That means you know exactly 5, then fit it for 5. Now it can fit the content for the 5, right? But it is not responsive yet. Responsive, we are going to do in the next level. Responsive, how we, because the headings comes out of it, it should be inside. So, right. So this is, that means in between, if you want, like suppose before and after this, suppose we have a div. And this div is having a class as this as a banner. And here we have an image source is equal to in images. So we have a banner. Suppose I said banner1.jpg. These are so a lot of banners. So that means news banner, because these banners are very height that they have lengthy banners. Okay, I will take it from the Amazon. So we will take it from the Amazon, snip this from the Amazon. So that means usually what happens now is, yeah, so suppose, yeah, let's take this as a banner. Let's take this as a banner. So take this as a banner, roughly. I'll copy that. So save. In our shopping site images, we said fashion banner. Okay, fine. So I want to keep this here. So that means you are defining that inside it. That means, so that is banner, and that is the class we defined as banner. So this is a fashion banner PNG. Okay. And here, so width, we say 100%. Okay. And this banner, so usually it fits somewhere here in between. It fits somewhere in between. You can see that banner fits somewhere in between there, right? It fits somewhere in between. Then usually what we do is for this here class as banner, this banner will have a column span as all, column span as all. And the banner is there now. So it is merging all the columns. Then you kept everything inside this now, right? That's how we are managing the content. Now, in this type of approach, so one important regular issue you have to face is the contents if they span more than what they are mentioned. So then it will be like a continuous content to display. So we need to avoid that actually. We need to avoid that. So more height and width for every card banners. That means here I said margin top for the banner is suppose 50 pixel. So margin bottom is also 50 pixel. So margin top and bottom will be 50 pixel. It will be little space between them, right? So and this banner is having suppose border 2 pixel, solid and dark cyan, and you can see it's spanning that there. So that is how we arrange the content. That is how we arrange the content. If you know exact set of contents to display, then you can go with this mechanism. If there is a running content which should automatically span, then you can use this one. If you have a desired positions, that right side this one, left side this one, first row this one, last row this one, then you go for display grids. Majority we can display screens by using columns and other options, right? So you can try this now. So by watching this shopping sites, you can try this layout now. You can try this layout. You can try this complete layout now. So because you know where to merge, where to keep the contents, you can try this complete layout. Layout you can completely design. So this layout you can design just by using the combination of columns, which you can make better with animations later, right? But initially, so in card, you can put every card may contain several contents. You can keep them. As of now, I just given only one options there. If you know how many, then you can fix that particular number. That makes the appearance better. But we need to make this more responsive now. Responsive means at any device width, it should be correctly fitting into my contents, responsive designs. That we will see in tomorrow's session, right? How we can create responsive designs. So to make the page responsive according to the browser and the device. This example also I will give you. You can practice that. Then tomorrow I will give you so a responsive design, and based on that I will give you example. This is multiple column card. Okay. Now tomorrow I will give you an example of a responsive design, and on that I will give you some exercises that you need to practice, right? Then tomorrow we will continue with this. Okay, right. Don't worry about the labs yesterday